headlines of this hour on VTV News. Vietnam-Sri Lanka aims for a new relationship. Later on, National Assembly poised for institutional breakthroughs. In world news, commemorative events mark 80 years since the end of World War II.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is now 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Phie with the latest updates. Now, State President Lương Cường hosted an official welcome ceremony for Sri Lankan President Anurakkumara Dissanayake during his state visit to Vietnam and attendance at the UN Day of VTV4. Later, the two leaders held talks.
State President Lương Cường warmly welcomed President Anurakkumara Dissanayaka's visit to Vietnam, marking the 55th anniversary of their diplomatic relations. The Sri Lankan president noted that Vietnam is the first Southeast Asian country he has visited since taking office. The two sides agreed to promote more frequent high-level visits and enhance cooperation between the two parties and people-to-people exchanges. They agreed to improve the effectiveness of cooperation mechanisms, promote the signing of cooperation agreements, and study the possibility of upgrading relations. The two leaders agreed to promote more substantive collaboration in defense, security, justice, and combating transnational crime and cybercrime. Both sides stressed the need for breakthrough measures to tap cooperation potential effectively and strive to achieve a two-way trade target of $1 billion. They also agreed to further expand ties in key areas such as food security, science and technology, education, culture, religion, healthcare, tourism, and people-to-people exchanges, enhance experience sharing in sea-based economy development, maritime transport, and connectivity. Two leaders committed to maintaining close coordination and mutual support at international and regional organizations. Following the talks, the two leaders witnessed the signing of 5 cooperation agreements in diplomacy, trade, customs, agriculture, and machinery manufacturing, and held a press conference.
The President and I agreed to boost bilateral trade and investment, including exploring the possibility of negotiating and signing a bilateral free trade agreement. We'll reaffirm our commitment to prioritizing and expanding cooperation in agriculture, tourism, education, information and communications, cultural exchange, and Buddhism. We also agreed to encourage airlines from both countries to launch direct flights.
I am honored to be here during the VTV4 celebrations, a meaningful opportunity to reaffirm the two countries' deep religious and spiritual bonds. My visit also underscores the tremendous potential for bilateral cooperation. I look forward to welcoming the Vietnamese state president on a state visit to Sri Lanka in the near future.
The two leaders also visited President Ho Chi Minh's relic site on Monday morning.
Now, in a meeting with Sri Lankan President Anurakkumara Dissanayake on Monday afternoon, Prime Minister Phie emphasized that Vietnam and Sri Lanka have deep historical ties, originating from similarities in Buddhism and common ideological values. The Prime Minister shared Vietnam's major strategic orientations, goals, solutions, and lessons learned in economic development, growth model innovation, and institutional and legal reform. President Anura Dissanayake expressed his desire to learn from these experiences in Vietnam. The two leaders agreed to strengthen economic, trade, and investment cooperation, striving for a two-way trade turnover of $1 billion and consideration of a bilateral free trade agreement and an investment protection and encouragement agreement in the near future. Continuing his official visit to Vietnam, Sri Lankan President Anurakkumara Dissanayake met with National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn on Monday afternoon. At the meeting, the Vietnamese National Assembly chairman proposed that Sri Lanka address the restoration, expansion, and addition of books, newspapers, and documents to the Ho Chi Minh space at the Colombo Capitol Library. He further suggested signing a cooperation agreement between the two national assemblies and welcoming a delegation from the Sri Lanka-Vietnam Friendship Parliamentarians Association to discuss cooperation in depth. The Sri Lankan president affirmed that he would support Vietnam's initiatives and role at multilateral forums and Vietnam's candidacy for the United Nations Human Rights Council for the 2026 to 2028 term. Following Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka's state visit to Vietnam from May the 4th to the 6th, Vietnam and Sri Lanka issued a joint statement. The leaders expressed satisfaction with the fruitful discussions held in the spirit of mutual understanding, which further enhanced the two countries' excellent relationship and enabled them to reach new heights. Sri Lankan president expressed his gratitude to the state, the government, and the people of Vietnam for the warm reception and extended invitations to Party General Secretary To Lam and State President Luong Kuong to visit Sri Lanka at a mutually convenient time. The invitations were gratefully accepted. On to other important news. The 9th session of the 15th National Assembly opened on Monday in Hanoi. The session holds particular importance, marking institutional breakthroughs as the country enters a new era of modernization, digital transformation, green growth, and sustainable development.
The 9th session will span 37 days across 2 phases, during which lawmakers will tackle a record volume of legislative work. The National Assembly will review and decide on various critical matters across all key areas, including constitutional reform, legislation, supreme oversight, and major national decisions.
During this session, the National Assembly will consider approval of the amendments to the 2013 Constitution. This is a strategic political and legal task for institutionalizing the party's policies, especially on the apparatus streamlining process. The National Assembly will establish a committee on the amendment draft and gather public opinions to submit for the National Assembly's approval before June 30th. As such, the amendments can take effect from July 1st.
During this session, the National Assembly will consider adjustments to the 2025 state budget, including allocating at least 3% for science and technology, innovation, and digital transformation. These are key drivers in achieving the target of 8% growth in 2025 and aiming for double-digit growth in subsequent years. Lawmakers will also review and approve a resolution to merge certain provincial administrative units and establish the National Election Council. In addition, it will decide on shortening the term of the current National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels and set the date for the election of deputies to the 16th National Assembly and People's Councils for the 2026 to 2031 term. The National Assembly chairman added that the National Assembly will dedicate 1.5 days to question and answer sessions, focusing on issues closely tied to people's daily lives and state governance.
Now, at the 9th session, the National Assembly heard a report on the proposed amendments and supplements to several articles of the 2013 Constitution, along with the proposal to establish a committee tasked with drafting these revisions. During the recession, deputies expressed a strong support for the proposed constitutional amendments. They recommended that the drafting committee proactively develop a roadmap for public consultations and establish clear technical standards for the constitutional amendment process. Following the discussion, deputies voted unanimously in favor of the draft resolution to amend and supplement the 2013 Constitution and the resolution establishing the drafting committee. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn was appointed the committee's chairman. The Vietnamese National Assembly chairman later presided over the first session of the drafting committee for the 2013 Constitution amendments. In his remarks, he emphasized the urgent need to collect public feedback from all sectors and levels of society. He announced that beginning May the 6th, the full text of the draft amendments and related documents will be made publicly available on the government's and National Assembly's e-portals and through various press agencies. The top legislator also highlighted the need to leverage technology, particularly the VNEID application, to collect and process public input on the draft amendments effectively. Now, 5 additional highways will be put into operation in the Mekong Delta region by the end of this year, a positive signal for the country's agricultural hub. However, significant work remains to ensure these major roads become a driving force for the region's development. The first step is to accelerate efforts to overcome obstacles, secure sand and construction materials, and speed up construction progress.
Phase 1 of the 16-kilometer Skao Anhill Expressway is now over 60% complete after nearly 2 years of construction. To ensure completion this year, 5 teams are working through holidays with 8 sand pumps in operation. Dong Thap province has secured a required 2.3 million cubic meters of sand.
We have prepared quarry sites and secured sand supplies for construction, making us ready for contractors to begin work.
This year, the Mekong Delta aims to complete 5 expressways spanning approximately 200 kilometers. While construction continues at a rapid pace, even during holidays and weekends, material shortages, particularly fill sand, pose a significant challenge.
The sand volume has to be redirected from the Bình Phước Xuân quarry to Cần Thơ-Cà Mau Expressway project, which has reduced both the volume and the extraction capacity by over 50%.
We are working closely with local leaders from Ngiang, Dong Thap, Tien Giang, and Sok Trang to secure sand under a special mechanism for the expressway project.
To resolve material supply issues, the government has instructed localities to review all sand quarries, access reserves, and evaluate extraction capabilities. Contractor tasked with quarrying age are required to accelerate progress, comply with regulations, and follow special mechanisms. Project owners will monitor progress at monthly and quarterly intervals, tracking each project's contractor and quarry to ensure adequate sand supplies for construction.
Coming up next, VTV's 2025's opening ceremony to set celebration stage. Coming up next, domestic travel surges in Mekong Delta amid national holiday. Welcome back to VTV News. The United Nations VTV 2025, a large global Buddhism event, will be held in Ho Chi Minh City from May the 6th to the 8th. After a long period of preparation and dedicated effort, all arrangements for the event have been completed.
On Monday afternoon, Vietnam Buddhist Academy held the final rehearsal for the VTV 2025 opening ceremony. The event features 2 parts, a cultural performance and a formal ceremony. The venue has been arranged dignified and solemnly, befitting a major international event.
The main hall has been fully set up, from seating arrangements to the background and ceremonial decorations. This afternoon, the artistic team conducted their final rehearsal in preparation. Everything is fully ready.
The stage incorporates a modern aesthetic and advanced technology. The setup allows the venue to host the opening ceremony and subsequent conferences. Notably, a hologram performance has been programmed.
It tells a story like an epic about Vietnamese Buddhism. After the curtain lowers, there will be a 3D mapping segment.
100 personnel have worked tirelessly to finalize the preparations. The United Nations Day of VTV Celebrations 2025 will officially open on the morning of May 6. Among over 2,700 delegates attending, 1,300 are from 85 countries and territories worldwide.
Now, the 2025 Korean language test was officially launched in Hanoi on Monday morning by the Ministry of Home Affairs Department of Overseas Labor and the Human Resources Development Service of Korea in Vietnam. The test is designed for Vietnamese workers seeking employment in South Korea under the Employment Permit System, or EPS program, a labor cooperation agreement between the Vietnamese and South Korean governments.
Nearly 23,000 candidates have sat this exam. Among them, 3,300 will have their profiles submitted to South Korean employers, 3,000 for positions in manufacturing and 300 in agriculture.
Due to quota limits this year, fewer Vietnamese workers will be selected to work in South Korea. However, employers have good trust in Vietnamese workers, so I hope the actual number will reach last year's figure of nearly 9,000. South Korean personnel have also traveled here to oversee the exam directly to ensure fairness. Only the Department for Overseas Labor is authorized to recruit general laborers to South Korea.
The Department for Overseas Labor has taken photos and fingerprints of all test takers to prevent cheating. Before taking the exam, candidates must register for a digital ID account on the VNeID app for verification. The multiple-choice test will be scored using an automated software system.
The program is implemented in an open, transparent, and fair manner. Once a candidate is selected, they will receive a notification via their registered phone number.
The department then anonymizes personal information and sends application profiles of qualified candidates to South Korean employers. Employers then select workers at random. No individual or organization can interfere with the process. Since the program began in 2004, over 141,000 Vietnamese workers have been sent to work in South Korea. Vietnam currently leads in the number of laborers entering South Korea under the EPS program.
Now on to updates from the tourism industry. Over the past 15 days, Ho Chi Minh City has welcomed approximately 2.7 million tourists, generating over $604 million in revenue. During the April 30th, May 1st holiday, around 2 million visitors came to the city, more than double the figure from the same period last year. According to the Ho Chi Minh City Department of Tourism, the city has rarely seen such a large number of visitors arriving at the same time. Vietnamese and international tourists have joined celebrations marking the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and national reunification, alongside various cultural, historical, and tourism activities. Now, not just Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam is also experiencing a surge in domestic travel during the 5-day holiday, with destinations rich in natural beauty and cultural heritage drawing the largest crowds. The Mekong Delta, known for its lush landscapes and vibrant traditions, has emerged as a key attraction for local and international tourists. Now in Cần Thơ City, a range of new culturally immersive experiences is pulling in visitors, spotlighting the unique character of the Mekong Delta region.
Alongside traditional folk games, several attractions have introduced recreated village markets this year, inviting tourists to make a classic southern Vietnamese cakes, a hands-on experience that has delighted many first-time visitors.
I'm really happy I got to make sizzling pancakes. I've only seen it on TV or watched others do it, but here I got detailed guidance.
The variety of tourism experiences has helped boost visitor numbers. Many destinations in Phong Dien District, Cần Thơ City have reported a significant increase in arrivals.
The number of tourists increased by about 20% this holiday. Activities like making traditional cakes and learning about local culture have been particularly well received.
River tourism in Cần Thơ is also showing positive signs. At Cái Răng Floating Market, a flotilla of boats, large and small, creates a vibrant trading hub on water. Local foods and traditional crafts add to the unique appeal for tourists.
I've never seen anything like this. People shopping on boats. I've been to floating markets in Thailand, but this is very different.
What's special is how they hang goods on the pole to show what they're selling. It's unique.
Cần Thơ is now pushing for sustainable tourism by leveraging its ecotourism, river-based experiences, and cultural identity. With increasingly diverse products, the city's goal of welcoming 7 million visitors this year appears within reach.
Coming up next in our world news. Commemorative events marks 80 years since the end of World War II. And Microsoft officially shut down Skype. Moving on to our global updates. In early May, several countries held memorial events in honor of the 80th anniversary of the victory over fascism in World War II. This victory marks the end of one of the darkest chapters in human history. More in the following.
In Vladivostok, Russia's Far East, more than 1,500 students participated in a children's parade simulating a military formation. The parade recreated the victorious spirit of the Soviet Red Army. The event aims to instill patriotism in younger generations. It serves as the opening activity in a series of events commemorating Russia's Victory Day on May 9. In Frankfurt, Germany, hundreds of people took part in the Immortal Regiment parades, carrying portraits of war veterans, Russian flags, and victory banners. The Immortal Regiment parade was held for the 9th consecutive year in Rome, Italy. Participants sang wartime songs, carried portraits of Soviet soldiers and Italian partisans, and shared the message, "No one is forgotten, nothing is forgotten." In a similar spirit of remembrance, about 16,000 people in the Netherlands marched from Museumplein to Dam Square in Amsterdam on May 4, the country's National Remembrance Day. With the King, Queen, and Prime Minister in attendance, the event sent a powerful message of peace and national unity.
Now, Microsoft's communication platform Skype officially shut down on Monday after 22 years. Microsoft posted a farewell message on its website, noting that Skype users can continue using their existing login details on Microsoft Teams. According to this notice, chats and contacts will be ready for users immediately. Skype's favorite features, such as free calling and messaging, and new features such as meetings and communities, are all available on Teams. Users can also archive Skype conversations by visiting the file export page to download the data file. The data will be available until January next year. Now, before the shutdown, Skype had 30 million monthly users, just a tenth of its peak number. Some of Canada's major airlines are being forced to revisit their flight schedules due to the impact of trade tensions with the U.S. Adjustments include suspending some routes between the two countries and increasing domestic flights as demand to the U.S. drops. The move comes as advance booking for flights between Canada and the U.S. through the end of September have fallen by more than 70% compared to 2024. According to analysts, the drop in U.S. demand is due to Canadians' dissatisfaction with U.S. President Donald Trump's views and policies and the ongoing tariff battle. This is bad news for airlines, but there's a bright side for consumers. Aviation analytics firm OAG predicts that some airlines may offer cheap U.S. airfares to boost demand. In Egypt's countryside, a growing movement is returning people to the roots of food. The residents incorporate sustainable farming, cultural preservation, and community empowerment, inviting visitors to experience Egypt's culinary heritage.
Visitors reunited with nature on a farm in Egypt's Giza, where they were introduced to seasonal crops and had a home-cooked traditional breakfast. The day trip is part of activities sponsored by Nawaya, a non-profit initiative aimed at preserving traditional knowledge, practices, and stories behind Egypt's culinary heritage.
Nawaya is an initiative that started in 2011. Its main goal is rural development. Our earlier projects focused on the farmers who own small portions of land, using environmental and clean agriculture using various natural inputs. Then, we started to focus on how to work more with the rest of the family members.
In 2019, the group worked on a rural heritage project in the same area to document traditional recipes and engage rural women in a food tourism experience. Over the years, Nawaya trained 300 women on healthy nutrition standards using traditional food.
The Nawaya kitchen is trying to preserve the food of rural heritage, so we do this in various ways, including tours. People go to the farm, reap the crops, and get to know the agricultural land and the plants. Then, visitors get into the kitchen, eat traditional food, and experience a traditional day.
Aiming to spread the culture of preserving traditional food and economically supporting rural women, the group has also trained various NGOs around the country to start their own food tours.
And as usual, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's the end of VTV News. To watch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or visit our YouTube channel at VTV4go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again at 3 p.m. local time.